When I was pretty young, probably 6 or 7 years old, I saw this image for the first time in a children's storybook version of Return of the Jedi. This was a long time ago in a Montessori classroom far, far away. But I still vividly remember sitting on the floor just staring at this image. At the time, I didn't realize it, but it helped shape what my ideal hero looks like. The kind of person that I want to be. The expression on his face, the pose that he strikes, his general demeanor. It's someone who's confident that they are in the right and that they'll succeed in the face of evil. From that day on, the idea of the Jedi would inspire me. It seems almost inevitable then that Star Wars would become a big part of my life. Of course, I watched all of the movies, I read some of the books, and played with all the toys that I could get my hands on. But for me, Star Wars, as an experience, was most significantly felt through its video games. The games were a unique way for me to enter the world of Star Wars, and I did that a lot. I'm pretty sure I played most of the Star Wars games, from the real-time strategy, to the Lego, to the flying games. But my favorite games were always the ones where I could be a Jedi. As the years went by and technology advanced, the games became more immersive, more graphically impressive, better at making you feel like you're a Jedi. The Jedi Knight series, Obi-Wan on Xbox, and The Force Unleashed were all great additions, but for me personally, the 2019 release of Jedi Fallen Order surpassed them all. It reminded me what it felt like sitting on the floor of my classroom all those years ago. The game isn't entirely flawless. There are some glitches and frustrations that can distract from the experience, but overall, Jedi Fallen Order is a perfect video game, and I want to talk about why. I'm going to analyze what I think are the 3 essentials to a video game: storytelling, aesthetics, and gameplay. First up is the game's story. Storytelling is important because it shows the player why they should be playing the game. Some games, like Mario, tell a story with little to no plot, while other games, like Metal Gear Solid, are full of long dialogue scenes packed with exposition. Jedi Fallen Order manages to find a sweet spot between the two. It has a coherent story, characters with clear motivations, but it doesn't overload the player with too much exposition and dialogue. The story opens with the hero, Cal Kestis, working for a scrapper guild. This story clearly takes place sometime after the events of Episode 3, since the ships that he's scrapping are leftovers from the Clone Wars. Within the first 20 minutes of the game, it's revealed that Cal is in fact an escaped Padawan, a survivor of Order 66. Apparently, Anakin didn't get all of the younglings. If that backstory alone doesn't make you want to play this game, well then you are lost. But there's a lot more to this story, as events occur which force Cal out of hiding and into a brand new Star Wars adventure. Along the way, Cal will visit multiple planets, meet a number of interesting characters, and embark on a quest to stop the Empire from carrying through with a sinister plan. The story is understandable, easy to follow, and has some pretty good plot twists and developments. Cal himself undergoes a really believable character arc, as he slowly realizes that running away isn't an option. He has to take a stand against the Empire for the sake of justice. I really don't like spoilers, so I'm not going to give away any more of the plot here, but if you haven't played this game, you really should experience it for yourself. I think the game is worth it just for the story alone. It has some unforgettable moments and great characters. The best of which is hands down BD1, Cal's droid, who is helpful to the player and adorable. The story in this game isn't told only through the plot and characters, but also the worlds themselves. Star Wars has always emphasized the galaxy that the characters are in, and this is no exception. There's plenty of lore to uncover as you explore the various levels, and because this story takes place after the Clone Wars, many of the ships and characters you encounter are from the Star Wars prequels, which is a surprise to be sure. but a welcome one. I'm really tempted to go into more spoilers, but I won't. All I will say is that a number of cutscenes in this game, especially the final climax, have become some of my all-time favorite Star Wars moments. Rich with adventure, intrigue, and cool characters, this story is awesome. Moving on to aesthetics. I use this word and not graphics because many games don't have powerful graphics. They don't showcase detailed textures, dynamic lighting, and particle effects, but they have unique, impressive visual styles. Jedi Fallen Order has a style consistent with Star Wars. The character models, equipment, and landscapes are all somewhat familiar. They fit in with the Star Wars universe, but they also offer some new, unique artistic ideas. The game provides a healthy amount of customization for your character, ship, and lightsaber. And while true style is more important than graphical output, Fallen Order does have really impressive graphics. This game shines. The character models are highly detailed, and the landscapes feature lots of little additions that make the levels seem much more alive. The character animations are really smooth, making combat flow nicely. Engaging with enemies always feels seamless and natural. In addition to impressive visuals, the game also features lots of voice acting. Beyond the primary story, the player can engage in a lot of side conversations if they want. Throughout all of the worlds, enemies engage in what appears to be almost endless casual banter, which can be a delight to listen to.
I'm just saying it's not my fault if I miss a target.
Most of the voice acting is fine, sometimes even great, but I have to admit sometimes the main character Cal can come off as a bit catatonic.
And since you're not a Jedi anymore, that's why you need me.
There were some scenes with Cal where I half expected him to start talking about how much he hated sand, but considering how nice everything else looks, sounds, and feels, it really didn't detract from what's overall a very pleasant experience. And now for the final category, gameplay. An intriguing story and beautiful visuals are very nice, but at the end of the day, we're talking about a game. And to quote the angry video game nerd, what's the most important aspect about any game? Well, being able to play it. The enjoyability you'll get out of Jedi Fallen Order partially depends on what you want out of a video game. This is not like other Jedi games, where you force speed your way through levels, hacking down enemies with the greatest of ease. The combat in this game is much slower and more methodical, featuring blocking and evading attacks while strategically choosing the right time to strike back. Many have called this the Dark Souls of Star Wars games, and that's a pretty accurate description. This style of gameplay works so perfectly in the Star Wars universe. You really get the sense of what Obi-Wan Kenobi meant when he told Luke Skywalker,
"This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight."
But simply hitting things or blocking them with your lightsaber is not all you do for combat in this game. It features a number of different Force abilities that you learn along the way. These upgrades freshen the combat and keep things moving forward. They also really give you the sense that you're growing as a Jedi Master. Other upgrades include improving your lightsaber and augmenting BD1 to help you traverse the levels and hold stim packs that can recharge your health during combat. By the end of the adventure, it really feels like Cal has undergone a transformation from Padawan to Jedi. And at any point in the game, you can return to earlier levels. So once you're a fully upgraded Jedi, you can go back to World 1 and wreak havoc. It feels really good going back to the earlier levels when you have more abilities. Not only does it make combat easier, but it allows you to access some parts of the levels that you couldn't before. Jedi Fallen Order has a good amount of platforming, jumping, wall running, and rope swinging, as well as some light puzzle solving are abundant in many of the levels. Unfortunately, this is where the game feels least polished. A few of the puzzle solutions were unclear to me, so I ended up looking online for the answers, and some platforming segments left something to be desired. Sometimes I would jump and not make a ledge, or the game would just be unclear as to what I was supposed to do. But these moments weren't too common, and Cal respawns immediately anyway. Besides, the game does its best to try to show the player where platforming is required. Navigating the levels reminded me of the Metroid Prime series, with its branching pathways and 3D map system. And like any good Metroidvania, progressing through a level will unlock shortcuts, allowing the player to traverse much more quickly through the worlds. These shortcuts really come in handy during the post-game, since they allow the player to more easily backtrack and find any collectibles they might have missed along the way. Ultimately, although there are some minor bugs and glitches, the gameplay in Jedi Fallen Order is solid. Fluid combat, unique upgrades, and intuitive level design all come together to form an incredibly fun and highly replayable Star Wars experience. Alright, well that about does it. If you've made it this far, thank you for making it through my terrible editing skills. I have a lot more respect for regular YouTube content creators because this took a lot of time. And it's pretty obvious that I did multiple takes because you can hear the volume levels on my microphone fluctuate between scenes. Whatever. I guess this is the part where I ask you to like, comment, and subscribe, but that sounds really dumb.